Something extraordinary is unfolding in the global economy, and it's hitting the United States right where it hurts. Across the country, stores are in panic mode, and the reason goes far beyond temporary supply chain glitches. Food exporters, the very backbone of America's trade power for decades, are packing up and shifting their business to China. Factories, shipping routes, and billions in capital that once created American jobs are now being rerouted straight into Beijing's orbit. And it doesn't stop at exports. The flow of money tells an even bigger story. Investors who once trusted Wall Street as the safest home for their capital are now moving billions into China's $19 trillion stock market. It's not only factories leaving America, it's confidence, and that shift is shaping the future of global finance. All of this comes at a time when Donald Trump insists tariffs are making America stronger. But behind the slogans, supply chains are clogged, operating costs are surging, and businesses on Main Street are barely keeping their doors open. While Washington pushes confrontation, Beijing has been doing the opposite, shoring up its markets, supporting its technology sectors, and presenting itself as the stable partner global investors are looking for. The contrast couldn't be more striking. In the next few minutes, we'll break down what's driving exporters away from the U.S., why China has become so attractive to foreign money, and how these shifts are reshaping the balance of power in the world economy. And most importantly, we'll look at what this means for American families and businesses already feeling the pressure. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our latest updates. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand just how badly U.S. strategy has faltered and why China is seizing the advantage. The picture in America today is far from the promises that were made. When Donald Trump rolled out sweeping tariffs, he assured the nation they would bring jobs back, rebuild industry, and add billions in revenue for Washington. The reality has been higher costs, fewer options, and a wave of trade shifting elsewhere. The policy details tell the story. The White House imposed tariffs of up to 50% on food and drink imports, sparking a chain reaction across global markets. Instead of forcing other nations to bend, the tariffs simply pushed them to look elsewhere, and that elsewhere is China. Exporters from Brazil, India, and Europe are now diverting shipments there, where demand is rising, profits are stronger, and policies feel more stable. Trump's plan was to weaken competitors and protect U.S. producers. In practice, it elevated Beijing as a new hub of global trade. The problem is structural. The goods most affected, coffee, prawns, tea, are not products the United States can easily supply itself. These are essentials American families and businesses depend on daily. What was sold as protection has instead become an extra burden. With every round of tariffs, supermarkets, restaurants, and supply chains carry heavier costs, while China consolidates its position at the center of world commerce. Brazil holds the crown as the world's largest coffee producer, and for decades, U.S. roasters relied on its beans to keep American cups full. Roughly 1/3 of all coffee consumed in the United States originates from Brazil, a staggering share for just one country. But Trump's tariffs changed that equation overnight, slapping a 50% tax on Brazilian imports. It ranks among the steepest duties anywhere in the U.S. tariff system. The effect for American consumers is straightforward. Coffee prices are climbing fast. Industry analysts warn that a 5-pound bag of beans could jump by a quarter in cost. For the average cafe, that means each cup poured is roughly 7% more expensive, even after shops absorb part of the hit. On paper, 7% might look small, but when multiplied across millions of cups sold every day, the extra cost runs into billions drained from household budgets every year. For families already squeezed by rising grocery bills, even a modest increase at the cafe counter adds another layer of strain. Meanwhile, Brazil didn't waste time dwelling on lost sales. Exporters quickly shifted their strategy. In July alone, more than 180 Brazilian coffee companies formally registered to sell into China, a wave of applications that industry observers call unprecedented. They're moving to meet a market that is not only growing but transforming at record speed. China's cafe culture is booming. Young professionals and students are fueling a surge in demand for specialty drinks. Luckin Coffee, often called China's answer to Starbucks, recently signed a billion-dollar supply deal with Brazilian producers, cementing the partnership. So, while American consumers brace for higher prices, Brazil is opening the door to a larger, faster-growing, and far more profitable market. What Washington framed as pressure on foreign exporters has, in practice, created new opportunities for them. The U.S. ends up footing higher bills at home, while Brazil deepens its ties with Beijing. One of the strangest twists of Trump's tariff strategy is playing out in grocery stores. Families in the United States are paying more than ever for meat, corn, and other essentials, while households across Latin America are seeing prices fall. A policy intended to shield U.S. farmers and manufacturers has instead strained American consumers and eased costs abroad. The mechanics are straightforward. Higher tariffs made U.S. goods less attractive on the global market. Buyers who once relied on American exports turned to other suppliers. Mexico, heavily dependent on U.S. corn and processed foods, quickly shifted to South American sources like Brazil and Argentina. With large harvests and competitive prices, these countries filled the gap and stocked Latin American supermarkets at lower costs. The contrast is sharp. In U.S. cities, the price of chicken, cornmeal, and vegetables keeps climbing, forcing families to stretch budgets and cut back on quality. Meanwhile, in Mexico City, São Paulo, and Buenos Aires, shoppers are paying less for the same staples. Corn is a clear example. The United States sends millions of tons to Mexico each year, but tariffs push those shipments higher in price. Mexican buyers turn to Argentina and Brazil, securing cheaper deals. Brazil then went further, boosting meat exports to fill gaps left by costlier U.S. products. In fact, Brazil's meat exports to the U.S. have collapsed by 80% this year alone because of tariffs. That beef hasn't disappeared. It has been redirected to Latin American markets, where grocery stores passed on the savings, while U.S. farmers were left struggling with shrinking demand. The imbalance is hard to miss. American households are stuck with higher grocery bills, while Latin American families benefit from lower prices. A strategy sold as protection has ended up shifting the burden onto U.S. consumers and giving competitors in South America the upper hand. It isn't only exporters leaving the United States. Investors are also redirecting their money, pulling capital out of U.S. markets and putting it into China. In effect, Wall Street itself is beginning to hedge against the dollar. Not long ago, the consensus was clear. China's market was too risky. Heavy crackdowns on tech, education, and real estate erased hundreds of billions in value, and Washington's escalating tariffs only added to the uncertainty. Trillions of dollars fled, and many fund managers warned clients to stay away. But in 2025, the picture has shifted. China's $19 trillion stock market is once again attracting global capital. The Shanghai Composite has climbed to its strongest level in a decade, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng is staging a recovery after years of decline. Major international funds are buying back into Chinese industries like semiconductors, biotech, and artificial intelligence, the very sectors shaping future growth. Perceptions have turned sharply. A market once dismissed as untouchable is now viewed as too large and influential to ignore. Money that only recently headed for the exits is returning, drawn by China's scale and renewed momentum. And this raises difficult questions. How did a market written off as unstable rebuild enough confidence to attract foreign money again? And why, in the middle of this reversal, does the United States appear to be the side stumbling instead of leading? To understand why investors are turning back to China, it helps to look closely at U.S. policy. Trump's strategy toward Beijing revolved around one tool: tariffs. Duties were raised to levels unseen in modern trade. At one point, the average tariff on Chinese goods climbed above 60%. And by April 2025, some categories were being hit with rates as high as 145%. The goal was clear: choke China's exports, revive American manufacturing, and showcase Washington's dominance in the trade war. The reality was far different. U.S. companies that depended on Chinese components suddenly faced soaring costs. Supply chains became tangled, and inflation, already a challenge for the Federal Reserve, was worsened by the additional charges passed directly to consumers. Farmers across the Midwest, manufacturers in the South, and Silicon Valley tech firms all found themselves caught in the crossfire of China's retaliation. What was sold as strength looked to investors like volatility and weakness. Beijing, meanwhile, played the long game. Instead of escalating further, China announced a temporary tariff truce. This wasn't about surrender. It was a deliberate pause designed to calm global markets. At home, the People's Bank of China injected liquidity into the system, making credit easier to access. Regulators also stepped back slightly from the heavy restrictions that had weighed down the tech sector, giving companies space to grow. The combined effect sent a reassuring message to global capital. China was open for business again. On one side, Washington was making headlines with loud declarations of victory while its own supply chains broke down. On the other, Beijing moved quietly but decisively to steady investor confidence. For fund managers, the choice of where to place capital became obvious. The appeal of China's bond market highlights this shift. In April 2025, a U.S. Treasury auction of $39 billion in 10-year notes produced a yield of 4.4%, a reflection of mounting doubts about America's fiscal outlook. By comparison, China's 10-year government bonds held yields below 2.2%, a sign of stability that investors increasingly value. China's fiscal position adds another layer of attraction. As of August 2025, its debt-to-GDP ratio stood at 68%, well under the G20 average of 118% and far below the G7's 123%. That lower burden gives Beijing more flexibility to shape policy without the immediate risk of financial strain. The U.S., however, is facing the opposite problem. The Federal Reserve's recent interest rate cuts, introduced to soften a weakening labor market, have raised doubts about the sustainability of American fiscal policy. Those doubts triggered heavy withdrawals. In the week leading up to September 10, 2025, investors pulled a net $10.4 billion from U.S. equity funds. The contrast is clear in the bond markets as well. Treasuries are now offering higher yields because of growing concerns over U.S. fiscal management, while Chinese bonds draw attention for their steadiness and lower risk profile. This is feeding into a wider reassessment of global investment strategies, where capital is no longer defaulting to the United States, but actively seeking alternatives. In short, foreign investors are rebalancing. China is not risk-free, but its valuations, stable bond yields, and fiscal discipline are making it a stronger magnet for long-term money than the United States. So as global capital flows shift eastward, the question becomes unavoidable. If investors themselves are voting with their wallets, how long can Washington pretend it is still leading the game? To stay ahead of these shifts, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. The global economy is changing fast, and this is where you'll see the full picture.